Hello everyone, welcome to a new chapter today. So let's begin. You can see when we talk about periodic table, we have studied that in a periodic table we have four blocks, and if the elements, their last electrons enter into S subshell, we call it as S block. If it enters P, we call it as P block. If it enters D subshell or F subshell, we call them as D or F block elements. So you can see over here, the first group 1 and 2 consist of S block elements, which we have already studied. The next group 3 to 12 consist of D block elements, and the elements which are placed at the bottom of the periodic table, they are called as F block elements. And elements belonging from group 13 to 18, they are referred as P block elements. So in general, we are going to talk about P block elements. You can see over here, when I say P block elements, first of all, the elements that is from group 13 to 18, they are belonging to P block. And as I said, their last electrons will enter into P subshell. You can see the elements over here which are pinkish in color. They are all metals. When we talk about elements which are purple in color, which are lying on the zigzag line, we call them as metalloids. And the elements which are placed as green in color, they are all non-metals. If you talk about the whole periodic table consists of only metals. It is only in P block you'll be able to find metals, non-metals, and metalloids. So starting with this, when I say this group 13 to 18, you can see we can call them as group 13 because the first element is boron. We can also call it as boron family. The first element is carbon in group 14. Therefore, we call it as carbon family. N, nitrogen family. O, oxygen family. 17, halogen family. And 18, noble gases. We have some other names also for all these groups, but we'll do that one by one. Moving over here, you can see when I say boron family, the general electronic configuration, if you look at the electronic configuration of all the group 13 elements, and if you look at the elements or the electrons which are present in the outermost shell, the general electronic configuration that you get for boron family is ns2np1. Similarly, if you move ahead, if we talk about carbon family, that is group 14, and if you look at the electronic configuration, the general electronic configuration that you get is ns2np2. For group 15, that is nitrogen family, we get it as ns2np3. Group 16, that is your oxygen family, we call it as ns2np4. For group 17, that is your halogens, you can see the electronic configuration, general one becomes ns2np5, and so on. If we go to the last group, that is group 18, noble gases, the electronic configuration is ns2np6, except there's an exception over here for helium, where the last electrons are not entering into P subshell, but the properties matches with the group, and therefore we have placed it in group 18. So you can see when we talk from group 13 to 18, what happens is the general electronic configuration for the whole P block becomes ns2np126. When we say P block, I said you can write down in your notebook, P block elements are those whose last electrons enter into P subshell. They belong to group 13 to 18, and they have a general electronic configuration from ns2 np126. You all know P subshell has a capacity to hold 6 electrons. So as we move ahead in this lecture or in this chapter, we are going to study only group 13, 14 and 15. Talking about group 16, 17 and 18, that will be done in your next class, that is 12th standard. So when we talk about elements, the chapter that we're going to start now is elements of group 13, 14 and 15. Beginning with elements of group 13, you know, elements of group 13, the first element was boron, and therefore we call it as boron family. So you can see over here from group 13, if I pick the elements, that is the first element we have is boron, second we have is aluminium, gallium, indium, and last one we have is thallium. You can see boron has a symbol of B, aluminium Al, gallium Ga, indium In, and thallium Tl. It's not I, it's Tl. So when we talk about group 13 elements, that is boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium, you can remember it as baggit. BAGIT. You can see सबका initial what are bag it. B for boron, A for aluminium, G for gallium, I for indium, T for thallium. The other way you can remember it as Bal Ganesha in temple. When I say Bal, you can see B Al Bal Ganesha in temple. If you want, you can go for Thailand also. Bal Ganesha in Thailand. There's a very big Ganesha statue in Thailand. So you can go for that. But you need to remember the symbol is TL, not TH. Okay. So over here, moving ahead, you can see one I said is Bal Ganesha in temple or Bal Ganesha in Thailand. You can even go for Bengan, Aloo, Gajar in Thela. आपको थैली चाहिए तो थैली ले लो, बैंगन आलू गाजर इन थैली, whichever you like. I have given you different ways of learning it. You can go for baguette, you can go for bangan aloo gajar in thela, you can even go for boron, sorry, you can go for Bal Ganesha in temple. Okay. Talking about the before we move to electronic configuration, you can see the atomic number. We have first the atomic number of boron is 5. Now next, if you see, boron belongs to which group? Sorry, which period? Belonging to second period, the atomic number, the number of elements in that group is 8. So 5 plus 8 becomes 13. Now next, 13 plus 18, because here from gallium the D block element starts. So therefore 13 plus 18 is 31. Again we'll add 18. You can see 31 plus 18 is 49, and 49 plus 32 is how much? It's 81. So you can remember the atomic number of elements in this way: 8, 18, 18, 32. So first of all, the atomic number of boron is 5, then 13, 31, 49 or 81. You can rectify this, or the simplest trick is to use these magic numbers: 8, 18, 18 and 32. So you can put the name of the chapter, elements of group 13, 14, 15. First write down group 13. You can prepare columns. First you'll write the name of the elements, symbol of the elements, atomic number. The next column will consist of electronic configuration, and uske baad last wala will consist of occurrence. So first we have done with the name, we have done with the symbol, the atomic number. Moving ahead, you can see talking about occurrence, as I said, first element, boron, it's a non-metal. And talking about the other elements, you can see aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. When I say aluminium, it's by mistake germanium over here, but it should be gallium. Aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. You can see they have a silver luster, they have a shiny appearance, so we can say they all are metals. In group 13, only the first element is a non-metal, whereas others all are metals. Talking about the electronic configuration, we are going to write down the electronic configuration on the basis of Aufbau's principle. So first, boron, the electronic configuration becomes, as the atomic number is 5, 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. For aluminium, the atomic number is 13. So we can say 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p1. When I say the next element, gallium, if you know 13 plus 18 was 31, now the electronic configuration will be lengthy. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10 and 4p1. Now after this, if I go for the element, the atomic number will be 49 and the electronic configuration will be more lengthy. So what we can do is, instead of writing the whole electronic configuration, we can go for the condensed electronic configuration, that is nearest noble gas configuration. So you can see first we have written for helium, second we'll have neon. Next, you can see when I say argon, very important point to note down, not like group 1 electronic configuration. Neon is having atomic number of 18. Sorry, argon is having an atomic number of 18. So you can see 2, 4, 10, 12 and the 6, 18. Means only this much will be replaced with argon. The other outermost electronic configuration will be this 3d10, 4s2 4p1. Let's see. You can see argon is how much? 3d10 4s2 4p1. Next, indium, you can see krypton, we have 4d10 5s2 5p1. And last, in case of thallium, even F block elements start arising. So we have 4f14, 5d10, 6s2, 6p1. Very important. The electronic configuration is not as easy as S block element. जैसे group 1, group 2 में आपको सिर्फ ns1, ns2 था. यहाँ भी ns2, np1 है. But along with that, you need to remember from gallium, the D block element starts. So the electrons are filled in D subshell. And in case of thallium, even F subshell elements are coming. So we have to remember in the last you'll have F electrons. So here D and F plays a very important role in the properties of gallium, indium and thallium. That we'll study when we go for physical properties. So you can write down the electronic configuration. Moving ahead. Yes, you can see group 13, they have a general electronic configuration of ns2 and p1. Moving ahead with the occurrence, group 13, when I say, we have boron. And when I say boron, boron has occurrence in the Earth's crust. We say the quantity of boron found in the Earth's crust is very, very less. It is less than 0.001%. We can say boron can be found in the form of borates, borax, and orthoboric acid. Very important, you need to remember the formula of borax, Na2B4O7.10H2O. Na2B4O7.10H2O. While you are writing down, speak the same formula 2 to 3 times so that you're able to learn it. In the column for occurrence for boron, you can write down it is in the form of borates, borax, Na2B4O7.10H2O, and orthoboric acid. Now, next element after boron that we have is aluminium. You can see boron is found in India in two different places. One is Puga Valley and Sambar Lake. No need to remember this. I'm just giving you an idea. Next, when we talk about aluminium, you know, aluminium is the third most abundant element found in the Earth's crust. And it is found in the form of different ores. We have bauxite, Al2O3.2H2O. We have cryolite, Na3AlF6. We also have mica. You can see for mica, if you don't remember the formula, that's fine because mica is an ore. And in that way, we have feldspar also. So just remember for bauxite and cryolite. You can see bauxite has the formula Al2O3.2H2O. Cryolite has Na3AlF6. So you can write down that in the occurrence. Aluminium has third most abundant element and bauxite and cryolite are the ores of aluminium. Moving ahead to the next element. You can see aluminium is found in Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Karnataka and Jammu. Talking about the next element after aluminium, we have gallium, indium and thallium. You can see these elements, they are found very less abundantly in nature. They are found very less in nature. And if you talk about these elements, they are highly reactive. Talking about gallium, very important point you need to note down. Gallium is an element. You can see gallium is a metal which is liquid at room temperature. So you can write down in the occurrence for boron, borates, borax, and orthoboric acid. For aluminium, you can write down the third most abundant element and you can write down the two ores, that is bauxite and cryolite. For gallium, indium, thallium, write down less abundant in nature. For gallium, put a star mark and write somewhere it is liquid at room temperature. It has a melting point of around 30 degrees Celsius. So this was about elements of group 13. We have studied their electronic configuration, name, symbol, and occurrence. When I say group 14, you can see in the periodic table, group 14 elements are what? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, and lead. So here when I say carbon and silicon, they are non-metal. Germanium is a metalloid. Silicon also we sometimes consider as a metalloid only. Tin and lead are also metals. So you can see this can be remembered in this way. Chemistry sir gives 10 lessons. Chemistry C, sir, SI silicon gives GE for germanium, 10 lesson lead. Or you can even remember this as chemistry sir gives sun key problems. When I say sun key, SN for tin and problems. So problems comes with PB. So you have to remember in any of the ways, whichever you prefer. This will give you the symbol. This will, sorry, this will give you the name of the metal. This will give you the symbol of the element. So you have chemistry sir gives sun key problems, or chemistry sir gives 10 lessons. So in this way, we have studied the element group 14. Put the heading as group 14. You can write down the name of the elements, that is carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, and lead. And if we talk about the atomic number, you know the first one, carbon, has atomic number of 4. So for the next element, sorry, carbon has an atomic number of 6. So for the next element, you're just going to add 8, 18, 18, and 32. So you can see the electronic configuration. If we know the electronic configuration of group 13, same way we can write for group 14. Just we need to change. You can see here the general electronic configuration for group 14 is ns2np2. So very important, the general electronic configuration that you need to make down is ns2np2. In group 13 we had was ns2np1. So you can see we have changed it and written down in condensed electronic configuration. You can see the other things that, as I said, in case from gallium we saw D starting. So here for germanium and tin also we have D subshell, and for the last element we also have F subshell. So you can put the heading as group 14 element. Draw the columns. The first column will consist of name of the element, symbol of the element, Z atomic number, electronic configuration, and we'll move ahead to occurrence. Now, when we talk about occurrence, you know carbon, they are having different isotopes of carbon. When I say isotopes, if you remember, isotopes are elements having same atomic number but different mass number. So carbon has 3 different isotopes. One is carbon 12, one is carbon 13, and one is carbon 14. As you can see, I've labeled carbon 14 as red in color. It is a radioactive one. The one which is carbon 12 has 6 protons, 6 neutrons. 6 protons and 7 neutrons in carbon 13, and carbon 14 has 6 protons and 8 neutrons. As you can see, more the nuclear particles, more it becomes unstable, and it has tendency to give out its extra nuclear particles. So the last one, that is carbon 14, is unstable, and therefore we call it or term it to be radioactive in nature. Moving up ahead with the occurrence of carbon, you know carbon is found abundantly in nature, but it is not the most abundant element. We say carbon is the 17th most abundant element found in the Earth's crust. We can see carbon in 2 different forms. One is elemental, or I can say free state. You means you'll already talk about free carbon, or we can find carbon in combined state. When I say elemental state, we can go for different allotropes of carbon. We have diamond, graphite, fullerene, and coal. When I say diamond and graphite, fullerene, they are crystalline allotropes, whereas coal, charcoal, lamp black, they are all amorphous forms of carbon. So we are going to study diamond, graphite, and fullerene in detail in this chapter. This was elemental state. Now talking about combined state, you know we have carbon in different forms, like we have hydrocarbons, carbon dioxide, carbonates. Other than that, we have different biomolecules like carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, fats, minerals, which all contain carbon. And you can see carbon is also present in your petroleum or fossil fuels. So for occurrence, you can just write down carbon, free state, combined state. Free state, you can write down the allotropes of carbon like diamond, graphite, coal, charcoal. For combined state, you can write down hydrocarbons, carbonates, and biomolecules. Next, carbon के पास जो next element है, that is silicon. You can see silicon is the second most abundant element found in the Earth's crust. So the first most abundant element is oxygen, second silicon, and third aluminium. So when I say silicon is the most abundant element in the Earth's crust, you know silicon is mostly found again in 2 states. One in the form of silica and the other in the form of silicates. When I say silica and silicates, you can see silica again can be found in the crystalline form of quartz or your normal amorphous form, that is sand. And as I said, silica is nothing but sand. Therefore, we find silicon as the second most abundant element in the Earth's crust. So you can write down silicon, second most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Write down silica, silicates. And silica can be in two forms, crystalline, amorphous. Crystalline you have is quartz, amorphous we have is sand. So other than quartz, we have some more allotropes of silica which can be crystalline, like we have cristobalite. You can write down CRYSTO, cristobalite. Even that is a crystalline allotrope of silica. Then we have one more, that is tridymite. These two are also allotropes of silica which are in crystalline form. So you can write in quartz, cristobalite, tridymite. And the amorphous we have is sand, which is used for making glass. After silicon, as we know, chemistry sir gives germanium. Germanium is an element which is found in very, very less quantity. You can see the quantity found in the Earth's crust is very less, that is 1.5 ppm, parts per million. And we say ultra pure germanium and ultra pure silicon. They are mostly used for making transistors and semiconductor devices. After germanium, talking about tin, SN. SN is mostly used for preparing tin stone or cassiterite. Tin stone or cassiterite, you can see the formula is SnO2. Tin oxide also you can say, but the common names are tin stone or cassiterite. Moving to the last, that is lead, PbS. PbS, we call it as what? Galena or lead sulfide. So Pb is mostly found in the form of PbS, that is galena. So revising all of them, as I said, chemistry sir gives sun key problems. C, carbon. It is the 17th most abundant element. You can write on free state, elemental state. Free state we had was allotropes of carbon. Combined we wrote hydrocarbons, biomolecules, and carbon dioxide carbonates. Silicon we study, it is again found in two forms, silica and silicates. Silica can be crystalline or amorphous. Crystalline में हमने देखा first quartz, cristobalite, and tridymite. And we saw germanium, less quantity. Tin is mostly found in the form of tin stone or cassiterite, and Pb in the form of galena. So you can see different forms here. Yes. So we are done with group 13, group 14. So we can move on to group 15 now. Now group 15, you can see this, when I say elements of group 15, the elements that we have are called as nitrogen family, belonging to nitrogen family. So we have the first element as nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. So you can remember this as nahi paisa asli sab bhikari. You can see first nahi paisa asli sab bhikari. Or you can remember Nana Patekar. Nana Patekar, Aishwarya, sab bhikari. It's up to you how you want to remember. Or we can go for Nepal, Pakistan, Australia, sab bhikari. Or you can go sab bimar, whichever you prefer. So this way we can learn the mnemonic for group 15 elements. See, moving ahead with the group 15 elements, same as we know nitrogen has an atomic number of 7. For the next elements we are going to add is 8, 18, 18 and 32. So this way we are going to learn the element, symbol, atomic number. Moving to electronic configuration, you can see the general electronic configuration that we get over here is NS2NP3. So we'll write down in terms of nearest noble gases, that is helium 2s2 2p3, neon 3s2 3p3. Then we'll have argon 3d10 4s2 4p3. Similarly, after argon we have is krypton 4d10 5s2 5p3. For the last element, after neon, helium, neon, argon, krypton, we have is xenon. We have 4f14, 5d10 and 6s2 6p3. So there's some mistake. They have directly covered this blue, but this will also come. And therefore you have 5d10, 6s2 6p3. This was again a mistake over here. So just ignore this. We'll go by this one. So you can write down from here element, symbol, atomic number, electronic configuration, and we'll move ahead to occurrence. So talking about occurrence, the first element that we have is nitrogen. When I say nitrogen, nitrogen is present in two forms. One is free state and the other one is combined state. When I say free state, you know nitrogen is present in the air. We have air containing 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. So free state, it is present in the atmosphere. When I say combined state, nitrogen can be in the form of nitrates. So we have two common nitrate salts. We have sodium nitrate, which is called a chili saltpeter, and Indian saltpeter. You can remember the names of these salts because they can be asked to you in future with respect to the ores of nitrogen. So sodium nitrate, NaNO3, chili saltpeter. Indian saltpeter is KNO3. After nitrogen, the next very important element that we have is phosphorus. You know, nitrogen exists in nature as N2, N triple bond N. So we say it's a gas. Phosphorus, it's not a gas, but it is mostly existing as a tetraatomic P4. So phosphorus occurs in apatite family. You can see the formula for apatite family is very common. Ca9PO4 6 times CaX2. If you remember S block में जब मैं uses बता रही थी last element का calcium carbonate, with respect to calcium I was telling you the use of fluorapatite, it is present in toothpaste and also you can see the same formula over here. It's Ca9PO4 6 times Ca9PO4 6 times CaX2, where X can be fluorine, chlorine or OH, hydroxy group. So instead of X, if I use fluorine, we call it as fluorapatite. This is the formula for apatite. If you read F, fluorapatite. If you write OH, it becomes hydroxyapatite. So here the formula is Ca9PO4 6 times CaX2. So phosphorus is mostly present as fluorapatite, that is in your bones, and teeth also. So teeth and bones as living cells. Talking about next after phosphorus, you can see we have arsenic and antimony. Arsenic and antimony, they are mostly present as sulfides. And when I say bismuth, it is present as a sulfide as well as an oxide. So you can see we have bismuth sulfide Bi2S3 and bismuth oxide Bi2O3. Repeating again, arsenic and antimony, they'll be in the form of sulfides, whereas bismuth will be in the form of sulfide as well as oxide. So you can write down this in the occurrence of nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Nahi paisa asli, sab bekari. Group 15. So we have covered for group 13, for group 14, their name, element, symbol, electronic configuration and occurrence. Let's see some of the questions over here. So my first question, which group has the general electronic configuration of NS2NP3? What do you think will be your answer? You can see which group has NS2NP3, NS2NP1, NS2NP2, NS2NP3. We have group 15. Next question, which one of the following occurs free in nature? Now, depending upon the elements, if you go, these elements are belonging to group 15 and we saw group 15, we have only nitrogen occurring in free state. Next, the element which occurs free in the gaseous state at room temperature. In room temperature, we again have nitrogen only. Atomic number of nitrogen is 7. The atomic number of fourth member of nitrogen in the family will be. You can see when I say atomic number of nitrogen is 7, for the next fourth member, 1, 2, 3, 4, means you can see you have to add 18, then you have to again add 18, and for the next you'll add is 32. So in that way, the element, you can see 7 plus 8 will give you 15, 15 plus 18 will give you 33, and 33 plus 18 we have is 51. Next question, cassiterite is an ore of. If you remember, cassiterite was tin oxide, SnO2. So yes, it's Sn. Atomic number of gallium is 31. The atomic number of the fifth member of the family will be. You know, gallium was already a third element. So when I say third, first was uh, boron, then we had aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. So you can see boron was what? 5 plus 8, 13, 13 plus 18, we had 31. So gallium was already the third element, fourth and fifth. So you can see already one time 18, one more 18, and then we'll add 32. So in this way, the atomic number that you get is 81. 49 plus 32 will give you 81. So this was with respect to your group 13, 14, 15 elements that we have studied. We have studied the atomic number, electronic configuration, and occurrence for these elements. In the next class, we'll study the physical properties.